She'd give her all to the family time, effort, love. But one simple accident will make her worthless. Start when his son went missing. 10 years of researching. Her husband make her feel worthless. Then she found out the people who took her son are the people she trusts. People who make her feel it's not her fault for 10 years. The missing persons case of little Ethan Mallory had been a thorn in their side for nearly a decade. Every lead had gone cold. Every interview had hit a dead end. We believe that there may be some details you may have inadvertently left out in previous interviews. Details that could be crucial. His eyes held a mixture of sympathy and determination. He knew that dealing with a grieving mother was a delicate matter, but the need for answers outweighed any concerns he had. Forensics teams combed through the house and the garden, but it was as if Ethan had melted into the ground. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and the pain of losing their son never faded. What do you know about my pain? What do you know about losing a child? She snapped, her voice raw with grief. Mark seemed to have retreated into a shell, leaving Amelia to grapple with her grief alone. One night, unable to bear the suffocating silence any longer, Amelia confronted her husband. "Are you just going to shut down like this? Are you just going to give up?" She cried, her voice echoing through the empty house. The laughter that once echoed through their home was replaced by a profound silence, a silence that spoke volumes of their shared loss. The young couple, David and Sarah, were full of life, their infectious laughter and chatter seeping through the night. At first, Amelia found it grating, a painful reminder of the joy that had been stolen from her. But slowly, as she watched them interact, she saw a reflection of her own past, a younger version of herself and Mark. Over the next few days, similar objects appeared, a hand-carved rocking boat, a miniature sailboat. Each item was more exquisite than the last, hinting at a deep level of craftsmanship. "These are my pieces," he said softly, his voice raspy with age. "But how did they end up in your yard?" he asked, his eyes filled with confusion. The woman's name was Margaret, and she was David and Sarah's mother. The thought that the toys she had stored in their basement were the same as Thomas S.'s unfinished collection sent a shiver down Amelia S.'s spine. Had Margaret taken these items after her husband's death? And what was she doing with them? Amelia explained what had happened, and Thomas listened intently. As Amelia stepped onto the Hartnett's porch, a knot of apprehension tightened in her stomach. "Where are those toys you kept in my basement?" she asked directly, her eyes boring into Margaret's. "The ones your husband made?" The cheerful side of the family gathered around the table only amplified her unease. Her words hung in the air, pregnant with hidden meanings. "You mean the carvings," she said calmly. "I donated them to an antique shop years ago." Taking a deep breath, she knocked on the door. "These pieces," he said slowly, "they were part of a special collection I made for a friend's child. I never finished them." "Hello, Amelia," she said, her voice as sweet as honey. "How lovely to see you. We get donations every day, but our stock is always changing," he replied vaguely. She thanked the man and left the shop, determined to try other avenues of inquiry. As Amelia examined the boats, her heart pounded with anticipation. "These, my dear lady, are part of a private collection that rotates on display every few months," he said cryptically. "The owner is quite particular about keeping their identity a secret." Could this be the breakthrough she had been waiting for? With bated breath, she asked the shopkeeper about their origins, hoping for a lead that could unravel the mystery. Just as she was about to leave, a glint of sunlight on glass caught her eye. Turning, she saw a display case filled with trinkets and knickknacks. "I just wanted to buy them. I didn't mean to cause any trouble," she said, her voice laced with apprehension. "If you're smart, you'll stay out of my affairs and let me handle this," he added, his tone brooking no argument. Among them were a pair of small, intricately carved boats, identical to the ones Thomas had made. Suddenly, in a swift, unexpected move, the man grabbed her by the arm, his grip like iron. The man released her arm, his grip slackening slightly. "Get out," he commanded, his voice still laced with menace. "And don't look back. Don't ever set foot in my shop again," he hissed, his voice low and dangerous. The discovery of the boats had opened a Pandora's box of unsettling events, and it was evident that the truth lay somewhere in the murky depths of this unfolding mystery. "If I see you here again, I won't hesitate to hurt you," he added, his eyes blazing with fury. As the man approached, his face contorted with rage. "Get away from my property," he roared, his voice echoing with menace. However, as the conversation dragged on, it became clear that Margaret was adept at evasion. Actually, they're supposed to bring bad luck, turning. She found herself face to face with a tall, imposing man whose stern visage was accentuated by a neatly trimmed gray beard. Outside, the bright sunshine and bustling shoppers seemed like a distant, unreal scene. As Amelia walked away, she couldn't shake off the chilling dread that had taken root within her. "And I don't appreciate people poking around where they don't belong." His piercing blue eyes seemed to bore right through her, leaving her unsettled. The encounter had shaken her deeply, and the fear of his potential violence loomed large in her mind. She knew that the stakes had risen, and the safety of her loved ones now hung in the balance. Fear and determination intertwined as Amelia prepared to face the daunting challenges that lay ahead. As Amelia recounted the harrowing experience to her husband, the gravity of their situation became clear. Perhaps she would get lucky and find the carvings there. As Amelia stepped into the cluttered shop, she was greeted by the musty scent of age, wood, and forgotten treasures. Sensing that she wasn't getting any closer to her answers, Amelia decided to shift her focus. She inquired about the possibility of purchasing the boats, thinking she could perhaps examine them more closely later. The owner, an older man with a walrus mustache, regarded her with mild curiosity. "Well, let me tell you," he lowered his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. "These aren't just any ordinary boats. They're rumored to bring good luck to those who own them." Every question Amelia posed, Margaret deflected with a clever remark or a change of subject. Before Amelia could utter a word, David, ever the inquisitive one, piped up, "Are you here to invite us over for dinner, Mrs. Mallory?" Intrigued, Amelia found herself spending hours researching online, trying to identify the pieces or find their maker. "Do you remember anything like that?" "Oh, no, dear," she said, forcing a laugh. "Sorry, ma'am, but I'm afraid I can't help you. If what you're looking for is here, it'll be here for a while." "That's what we do," he added with a shrug, indicating the endless stream of new arrivals. "Questions, Amelia," she finally said, her voice laced with caution. "What could you possibly want to know?" "I'm afraid I have some questions for Margaret." Her voice betrayed none of the turmoil within. A woman holding a basket filled with colorful toys had come to their house. She had chatted with Amelia, her face kind, her eyes crinkling at the corners. The woman had mentioned needing a quiet place to store her late husband's unfinished projects. Amelia, touched by the story, had readily agreed, allowing the woman to use their basement. It brought a bittersweet ache to her heart. Their friends and neighbors, sensing their fragility, gave them space, not wanting to disturb the fragile peace that had settled over the Mallory household. The social worker flinched, taken aback by Amelia's outburst. "I'm sorry," she whispered, realizing the depth of Amelia's sorrow. As she stood there chatting, she couldn't help but reminisce about the times when Ethan's laughter had filled their home. The memory brought tears to her eyes, but this time, surprisingly, she didn't feel overwhelmed by grief. Instead, there was a sense of peaceful acceptance. "But we're here to help, to offer support." Curiosity piqued, she got up and walked towards the corner. To her surprise, she found a small, intricately carved wooden horse. It was beautiful, a testament to some unknown artist's skill. Hope surged through Amelia. Could this be the person behind the mysterious carvings? With renewed determination, she tracked down Thomas, an elderly gentleman with kind eyes and weathered hands. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered Ethan's name. Together, they relived the joys, the laughter, the milestones, and most painfully, the loss in that shared grief. They found solace. They clung to each other, finding strength in their united sorrow. Instead, it intensified, eating away at their souls. Through the agony, Amelia noticed a change in her husband. "What else is there to do, Amelia?" he asked softly, his voice heavy with sorrow. Then one spring morning, when the world outside was bursting with life, Amelia stumbled upon a long-forgotten box in the attic. Inside, nestled amidst the old photographs and toys, she found a small, worn teddy bear. It was Ethan's favorite teddy bear, the one that had been with him since he was born. Holding the bear, memories flooded back, bringing with them a fresh wave of grief. "We've lost our son. All I can do is remember him." His words struck Amelia like a physical blow. The realization of their shared loss, the depth of their collective grief washed over her. In that moment, she saw the pain in her husband's eyes, the pain that mirrored her own. Mark, once a pillar of strength, now seemed distant, lost in a fog of despair. And now they were back at square one, revisiting the very beginning, hoping to find a new angle that had been overlooked. As Amelia delved deeper into the recesses of her memory, the events of that fateful day unfolded before her eyes like a haunting film reel. Her husband, Mark, his face etched with worry, joined her in the frantic search. Their calls for Ethan grew louder, more desperate with each passing moment. When he did speak, his words were clipped, devoid of the warmth that had once characterized him. One evening, as Amelia sat by the window, watching the sunset, she heard a soft knock on the door. She turned, startled, and opened it to find a social worker standing on their doorstep. Double quotes, Mrs. Mallory, the social worker began, her voice laced with sympathy. "We're here to talk about your well-being. You haven't been attending support group meetings regularly, and we're concerned." The neighbors, alerted to the emergency, came out to help, their faces etched with concern. But despite their best efforts, there was no sign of the little boy. By nightfall, the search had turned into a rescue mission, and the hope in their hearts began to dwindle. It was a sunny afternoon. She remembered Ethan playing happily in the sandbox, his infectious laughter echoing through the garden. She had watched him from the kitchen window, a smile gracing her lips. Life seemed idyllic, perfect. Then, in what felt like a blink, he was gone. She turned around, and in that split second, he had vanished. The dead body of his son lay near her house. And the people who'd done it said it was just an accident. They just want to borrow the baby. But the baby made tantrums, and one thing led to another. After they knew the baby died by suffocation, they put pillow in his face to make him quit. And because they are afraid to be caught, they buried the body near the house. For 10 years, they've been quiet. A woman with an angelic face stepped into the room where the detectives were waiting. Despite being beautiful, something about her demeanor suggested she had seen better days. Her eyes, usually sparkling with life, were now dull and distant. The officers could tell this woman was drowning in a sea of sorrow, her spirit broken by the weight of her pain. "Mrs. Mallory, we need to ask you some questions about your son's disappearance," the lead detective began, his voice gentle yet firm. It had been 10 years since that fateful day when 2-year-old Ethan vanished without a trace from his own backyard. The initial investigation had turned up nothing. No witnesses, no signs of struggle, no ransom demands. It was as if the boy had simply evaporated into thin air. The pain in Amelia's heart was still as raw as the day it happened. She looked at the detective, her gaze unwavering. "I have answered your questions countless times," she said, her voice trembling slightly, betraying the turmoil within. "What more do you wish to know?" Detective Miller leaned forward. "We're looking at this case with fresh eyes, Mrs. Mallory." Amelia drew a sharp breath, bracing herself. Whatever new revelations she might hold, she was determined to reveal them. As the minutes ticked by, the carefree afternoon turned into a nightmare. The police arrived, their flashing lights painting the night in hues of urgency. He would sit for hours staring into the middle distance, his eyes hollow. Amelia felt a surge of resentment. In the ensuing weeks, Amelia found herself increasingly isolated, not just from the outside world, but also from her own husband. Mark turned, his eyes filled with a haunting emptiness. Years passed, seasons changed, but the ache in their hearts remained constant. She rushed downstairs, the teddy bear clutched tightly to her chest. and fell into her husband's arms. As the years rolled on, the pain lessened, but it never truly faded. And then one day, a new family moved in next door. One afternoon, drawn by the sound of children's laughter, Amelia walked next door to introduce herself to the new neighbors later that evening. As Amelia sat on her porch swing, lost in thought, she noticed the faint outline of a figure in the corner of her yard. Puzzled, Amelia decided to keep it. Then one day, while browsing an antique forum, she stumbled upon a post that mentioned a renowned wood sculptor named Thomas, known for his intricate miniature works. When she showed him the carvings, a look of recognition crossed his face. His words triggered a jolt of realization in Amelia. She remembered the day Ethan had gone missing. Suddenly, it all came crashing down. Driven by a mix of curiosity and suspicion, Amelia decided to confront Margaret. Margaret opened the door, her face breaking into a warm smile. Margaret's smile faltered slightly, but she quickly recovered. Startled by Amelia's sudden appearance and her unusual request, Margaret hesitated. Amelia wasted no time. A flicker of panic crossed Margaret's face, but she quickly composed herself. Amelia wasn't convinced. "Why would you donate your husband's personal belongings?" she pressed, her suspicions growing. Margaret sighed dramatically. "Some things from the past are best left behind, Amelia," she said cryptically. "They hold too much pain, too many memories." For a moment, neither woman spoke. Amelia, sensing that Margaret was hiding something, continued to press for answers, her determination unwavering. Frustrated but not deterred, Amelia shifted tactics. She decided to pay a visit to the antique shop Margaret had mentioned. "I was told that someone had donated some interesting wood carvings," Amelia began, hoping to jog the man's memory. The man stroked his mustache thoughtfully. "HMM, can't say I do, ma'am." Amelia pressed further, describing the unique pieces in detail, hoping for a positive response. But the antique dealer shook his head, his expression apologetic. Disappointment washed over Amelia, but she refused to give up. Overcome with excitement, Amelia rushed to the counter, eager to inquire about these new discoveries. The shopkeeper, a jovial man with a twinkle in his eye, leaned back. Amelia pressed on, hoping to extract more information, but the shopkeeper remained tight-lipped. Upon hearing this, the shopkeeper's face brightened. So you're interested in buying them?" he exclaimed, his eyes gleaming. Before Amelia could respond, a deep voice boomed from behind her. "Who are you?" Amelia asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Let's just say I'm the owner of these fine pieces," the man replied, gesturing to the boats with a curt nod of his head. Amelia, taken aback by his hostility, stammered a reply. The man's eyes narrowed. "I don't think you understand who you're dealing with," he said menacingly. His words hung in the air, heavy with threat, leaving Amelia shaken and uncertain of what to do next. Amelia, frozen with fear, could only watch as the man's anger peaked. Reeling from the shock of his touch and the weight of his threat, Amelia stumbled back. Shaken to her core, Amelia fled the shop, his final warning ringing in her ears. Each step she took was heavy with the weight of the man's threat. The man's words echoed in Amelia's mind, serving as a stark reminder of the danger they had stumbled upon, determined to protect her family. Amelia resolved to navigate the treacherous path ahead with caution.